Wow, this has been for too long. Hi, it's MinniMark. I'm back. I wasn't for a while. Finals, they took a lot out of me. And I was doing some crazy stuff, but everything has settled down. I have since finished with that, and I am here, and I am ready to play. So let's look what we got in the pack. Well, this card's really good. Sedition Tactics basically says murder everything. Giving creatures +1/+1 and allowing them to tap to fight. If you all have a bunch of creatures that are at parity with their creatures, you make yours bigger, you then fight profitably, and then you kill them. It's pretty bomby. So I'm going to take it just to play with it. We're doing a Swiss. Reason we're doing a Swiss, I'm still feeling out the format. I think I have a pretty decent grasp on it, but there's still some things that I'm not 100% on. Other cards in the pack that are good. Nightmarish End is very good. Get it out of your hand in the early game to kill their first big threat, and you're pretty happy about it. There's also Supply Line Crane, which has been pretty much an all-star. 3/5 flyer for 5, or 2/4 flyer that puts a +1/+1 counter on something. Also very good. Ran out of time to talk about that pack. Okay. So what do we have here? Well, we have Magma Spray, which is always good, as it is removal. Freak is Chosen, which is good. We have two fonts, both of which I think are very playable. The Layaway, Divination, and then Font of Fertility. There's also a Sire Spine, which I think is very good. If we're playing a very aggressive deck, Warhound is very good. Oppressive Raise is mixed. I think you have to be a very aggressive deck to make the most out of it. Otherwise, you're basically just inhibiting their mana, and they can draw out of it, or they can just play their spells and basically treat it as a 1-mana removal spell for a couple turns. I think it's the Spire Spine, just because it's really good attacker, and even on, you don't want to leave it on blocks because they can just send in their weakest creature and get a good trade-off, but I think it's very good. And passing a Magma Spray, though, and a Font, which I think were the other two picks in consideration there. Okay. So we have a Scryfish, which is very good. Makings of a very fast deck. We have the Hoplite and the Blinding Flare. Rouse the Mob is also pretty good in those type of decks. I don't think the font's playable. Cast is pretty decent, but I think I'm just going to take the Starfish. It just does everything you want. It blocks decently against some of the early drops, and you can also just use the Scry to smooth out your draws in the late game, which are the two phases that I really care about in Theros. The super early game, blocking, and in the super late game, smoothing your draws, because there's a lot of scry and stuff going around, and if you're not somebody who is able to do the scrying, then you're going to be sitting there pretty sad at the end of the day, because you're going to be like, oh, great, they're just using their scry effect or whatever to gain a bunch of virtual card advantage. So I'll take the Starfish. It doesn't commit us to blue, but definitely makes us think, oh, blue's feeling pretty good. Alright, so there's a Launch the Fleet. I don't really have anything that combos too well with it at the moment. We have Game Warden. Enters the battlefield, look at the top X cards, so your library. Or X is the number forest. Reveal a creature from among them and put it into your hand. Okay. I think it's either that or the Nyx Weaver in the deck that we have right now. If we take the Nyx Weaver, then we can splash it, or if we get more black cards, we can go black. If we get more blue cards, we can go blue. It's a very good card because it does kind of replace itself at some point. And a 2/3 with reach is always good in a format like this. But I think I'm going to go with the Game Warden because this will draw me a card every time, where this one I could play it and then it dies or something, and I just think this might be a little bit better. Alright, when you cast a spell that targets it, return an enchantment to its owner's hand. Alright, another Oppressive Raise. There's an Aerial Formation, which I absolutely loved at the pre-release because it's in a green blue deck you just use as a finisher because you get down your 4/1s and your 4/5s and whatnot, and then you just slam formation and all of a sudden they can't block, at least not profitably probably. So you get to just go over the top with it, and it also can save people in combat and stuff like that as well. They attack with a bunch of flyers thinking they're fine. You jump. There's also a Blood Craze Hoplite in the pack as well, which is very, very good. And I also do enjoy the Dryads a decent amount. I think I'll take the formation because I think I can just get fatties and uh, okay. Hmm. I don't know if I like this card. I have no idea how to feel about this. Huh. Also, black seems like it might be open. Maybe we should have grabbed that guy back there. Hmm. Dictated crew fix, huh? I mean, you can flash it in at the end of their turn, draw a card, so you're ahead on the draws and stuff, but I feel like I have to go with the Chosen. I'm going to get comments like, oh, that's a $10 card you just passed, you derp. But, you know, I'm going to take the Chosen because it looks like black's open and I might want to try to move over that way. Yeah, I'm not really seeing much blue after I got these two. It could have just been the packs, though. You never know with this, with Magic sometimes. But, alright. What do you do again? Target creature must block this turn of Fable. Alright. And you return a creature and an enchantment. So you basically are going to get 2 cards off of that, most of the time at least, in a format where you're playing a lot of enchantments, which this one is. There, explained it very well, just with stutters apparently. I think I'm going to take the Melody. It's kind of a little bit of card advantage in the later game, and I don't know, the Ox just seems eh. Alright, well, I'm going to take the Hoplite, because it looks like black is open. But I think it's better than the second thing anyways. Humbler is your team gets trample. It's that or return 3 creatures. And we already have the Reviving Melody. So yeah, I think we're just going to take the Humbler over the font. Oh sweet, we got the Font of Fertility back, which is nice. I think the next pack is the one that would have the Nyx Weaver, if there was a Nyx Weaver left. So let's see if we can get that. Nope. That's fine. I guess we'll take the Plague in case we find ourselves in a situation where we just super duper need enchantment destruction. Solidarity. I don't think we're on that plan, so I'm just going to take the Market Festival. Sure. So we're on the plan of see what we open. We're probably base green. If I could go back, I'd definitely change the aerial formation pick to the Nyx Weaver. I was just hedging because I had the Starfish already. And I'm trying to think if this pack or the next pack has the better blue and the better black. I think the last pack has the better black, and black was coming pretty late that round. So I think we're going to get fed black in the last pack, which is the pack with the gray merchants and stuff. So I think I want to stay black if possible. But we'll see what we open. We could open some Bomb Diggity rare and just be like, oh, well, looks like we're in black, or it looks like we're in blue, or even red or white, really. We don't have, like, we have Oppressive Raise, which isn't the best, but we're also not really super committed to these colors yet. I'd prefer not to waste most of the pack 1, but if we find something that's a untapped vein right now, I'm perfectly fine with that. I mean, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but my play style tends to be stay open, sit back, let the picks come to you, and then when you start seeing a pattern, like you see 2 Blood Craze Hoplites coming back a little bit later, you see Freakus Chosens, then you want to go. I don't know how people feel about Hoplite, but I like him because you can use him in combat to basically do a 2 power, 2 toughness swing on certain creatures, and even otherwise, like, okay, well, there's, huh. Well, I asked for a bomb and a color to give me guidance, and I got 2. The thing is, Eater of Hope is 7 mana. I've never been a huge fan of 7 mana things. It's just the way that I am. I think I'm going to go with Raised by Wolves. As just like, drop this, win the game. Because it's still a 6/4. It's a 6/4 flyer that you have to sack 2 creatures to destroy something, and then you have to sack a creature to regen it. You need a lot going, and yeah, it's a 6/4 flyer, but they can still probably block it if they have a Chorus of Tides and any combat trick. Raised by Wolves is just, it goes wide and it goes tall. So I think I'm going to go with the Raised by Wolves. Let me know in the comments how terrible I am at Magic. You already have several times. Alright. But no, I really do think that Raised by Wolves is a very good pick. I think Eater of Hope is a very defensible pick as well. You could definitely go either way with that. Alright, so let me get this pack, which has a Spiteful Returned, another Sudden Storm, and another Chorus of Tides going by. But I think we want to set ourselves up to get a really solid pack 3 of black cards, because black was very powerful in the third pack. And green was also pretty decent. Green-black, I think, was the consensus best color choice, if I remember correctly, back in the original Theros. So if we can be set up to get really good packs for that at the end, then that's fine. I don't think we're losing a ton of power level taking a Spiteful Returned over a Chorus of Tides. Because Spiteful Returned is just, it's a pretty solid creature, and it has Bestow. And it's pretty good if you can just get beating down with it. So we are passing Chorus of Tides and Sunstorm, though, which is to note. Alright, cool. So we are getting rewarded for sticking with the black plan off of our logic. I think it's fair to hide the aerial formation because we're not going to splash that. We might splash the Starfish. Again, it depends on what we get later on. Here, I'm just going to take the removal spell because it's really good. It just exile target creature. That's good. I'll take that. And then put a artifact that you can sack for mana. And that could help us splash our goldfish, our starfish. It can also help us ramp our mana up, because if we hit this on turn 4, then maybe we can get a Humbler Mortals out on turn 6, or any number of assorted things going. I think it's better than like the Shriekarpi, because the Shriekarpi they get to pick, where Guild we say that dies. This does get around things like protection from a color. But I still feel like this is just the best thing. And there are some annoying things with, okay, yeah. We are in the right vein right now. We're not probably getting anything back out of this pack that we care about. Maybe the Drifters. Maybe we'll take a Starbreaker for the sideboard in case they're super good. Yeah, but there's some really good cards here, so. But Bile-Blight just, it's a super good card, and I think it's worth like a tick. Maybe. Maybe not after all this time of opening packs. There was a period of time where that was like the equivalent of opening a bomb, because it is. But you also get the money for it, and it's an uncommon, so. But yeah. So we got some pretty good removal now. We have the Chosen, which is quote-unquote removal, Bile-Blight, Guild, and then we can always just go back to the Citizen Tactics, which is, you know, if we have like 3 creatures out and one's the Freaka's Chosen, we can just go murder, murder, murder. You know, their whole side's dead. Now what do we want to do with our time? There's an Oathsworn. We have what? 1, 2, 3, 4 ways of targeting right now. It doesn't seem too good right now. We could take a Mortal's Resolve or a Servant. Mortal's Resolve is better if we're trying to be aggressive. Even on defense, I guess it's good too, yeah. Yeah, that's just a good card, I think. And then there's Servant of Timuret, which you just play on turn 3 and they really can't deal with. Because, I mean, the regen is just super good. We only have 7 creatures, so I'm going to not take the combat trick, instead I'm going to take the Servant. Because I feel like we are just going to need bodies on the ground at a certain point. Alright, well there's an Excoriate still in the pack. There's a Nyxborn Triton still in the pack, so I'm not entirely sure what other people are doing. There's a Hero. Never really liked the Hero, but at the same time I don't know what else we're doing. Like we're not taking a Triton to splash or an Excoriate. We're pretty, because we don't really feel like we need like that kind of removal at the moment. I guess we'll take the Hero. We have a couple different ways to target. I'm not a huge fan of... Jeez. Alright. I'm not a huge fan of the aspect of Hydra, even in a deck as heavy green as this one is. It's just, there are going to be times where it's in your hand and it says, pay a green, target creature. End of statement, because you're not going to have any devotion. But yeah, I'm definitely going to take Asphyxiate here. Our mana doesn't look terrible. Like, I know we have green and black 1-drops, but we're a little heavier black with those 2 symbols. And then the green we want, and then in the late game we want green, but I don't think it's super irrelevant at the moment. Alright, what do we got here? A random dork probably is just going to be the pick here. We're not in these colors anymore. So it's basically the aspect of Hydra, which, yeah, it's a pump spell and whatever, but I'm not a huge fan of it. Grizzly Transformation, which we could put on, like, you know, the Spire Spine, and then give it Intimidate. That's pretty good, but we still only have... we have 9 creatures. I'd like to buff that up a little bit and get our early defenses going before we start worrying about tricks that aren't even really that good. Let's take the Drifters. We have some graveyard we have a graveyard recursion card that we might play. And 4 power isn't nothing. You can have somebody attack into you, and 4 power is going to probably keep somebody at bay. I think it's better than either of these cards. I don't really want a second Brawler. There are a lot better 2-drops available. Oh, God. Alright. Sudama has Intimidate, and it can make blockers, which isn't terrible. We can put Spiteful Return or Spire Spine on it and make it really good. Typically it's not like an insane card, but it is an engine that can eventually win the game on itself, so I'll take it. I'm not super pumped to run it, but it's there. Yeah. We still get the Grizzly Transformation. I like it better than the random. I should have actually looked at that pack a little harder, just to explain it. The logic is we're gonna have bigger guys, so I guess either card is defendable. The other card I would have considered was the 1/1 for 2 that makes you that you look at the top 5 cards. 5 cards? Some number of cards of your library. You pick a land out of it, put it into your hand, put the rest into the bin. That card could have been decent in our deck because we do have a graveyard recursion card, and there is like a Frika's Mender and stuff coming later. And it does ramp us to our later stuff. It does fix our mana, which we're not super bad on, but we're not great right now. So it's one of those cards that could have been fine, but at the same time, I prefer I think, the Grizzly transformation over it. That might have been the wrong pick, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I think I would have rather had the 2-drop 1/1. Because a 1/1 can still block and stuff just fine. Come on. I was just talking like 2 minutes ago about how we got rewarded for going black. I mean, we did. We got Keepsake Oregon out of the deal, but just going to throw Biden in front of me. Whatever, I'll pass it. But yeah, so I think that was the right pick over the Grizzly transformation. 9 times out of 10, probably more than that even, I'm going to cut the Grizzly transformation from the deck. I actually probably going to do it right now. And with the other card, I might have kept it because we are still looking at the Starfish. At this point, probably not. I don't think it does what our deck needs anymore. Alright, so we have Anthosa, who's just the big body. It's fine. But I think we have better big bodies right now than what that does. You have like a cantrip, it kills guys, makes a bunch of dudes, and then gives my guys trample. Then there's Lash of the Whip and Fade into Antiquity. I think it's a decent Lash. I still like Fade into Antiquity a decent amount. A lot of people say I'm stupid for it, but I mean, it still kills an artifact or enchantment. And in this format, that's necessary sometimes. Okay. I think it's Leaf Crown Dryad. There's a Warrior's Lesson. I don't know if we're going to be looking to do that. We don't have a lot of evasion, so that's typically where Warrior's Lesson gets better. Read the Bones is very good, but I mean, this is just a super solid card. It does everything you want, so I'm going to take it. We'll probably get an Agent of Fates back. Maybe one of these cards will wheel. The Lampad, the Agent, the Warrior's Lesson, or the Read the Bones. And I'll be happy with any of them. If I don't get them back, well, oh well. Sweet, Freaka's Mender. It's exactly what I want. It's just a solid 5-drop. Lets you go into your bin, pull something out. It's typically a 2-for-1, if not always a 2-for-1. Well, not always. I guess you could play it with an empty bin, but you know what I mean. It's just a very solid card. Alright. Erebos' Emissary. It's one of those cards that your opponent kind of looks at you from across the table and says, how many creatures do you have in hand, and are you willing to part with them? Typically, I'm not willing to part with them, but that's just me. But yeah, I feel like that's... And it can even just be like you put a bunch of power on it and swing in and say, do you have a trick? Take the Return Phalanx there. Oh, good. A Read the Bones came back. Or not came back, but was in that pack. Alright, Lash the Whip number 2 or Vulpine Goliath. I think I just want another removal spell. I might take removal more than I should, but I feel like this isn't one of those cases. Alright, Hero, I don't think I want... You can cut the Brawler now, because I think I like the Phalanx better. Sure. Savage Surge seems decent. I'll take that on the wheel. I don't think we need the Melody anymore, because we have this to buy stuff back. We're not ramping to anything super huge. We don't need a lot of fixing with that. I think the font's fine, even if you're not fixing or really ramping that much, because it can just take a draw that's like 4 Swamp and then like 3s and 4s and make it into something you can totally run with, because you have the extra draw steps to hit what you need. So we probably don't need the Drifters. You got a lot of high end. Probably gonna have to find a cut here somewhere, or maybe even 2. Maybe it's just the Game Warden and the Humbler. No, the Game Warden's basically a 2-for-1. I don't think you're going to miss too often when you're looking at what? 3 cards typically on average, we'll say 3 cards. Eh. Do they go in the graveyard or do they go in the bottom? On the bottom. Hmm. Is there anything in the early game that we don't want? Any tricks? Are there any just pure combat tricks that we don't want? I mean, that's removal, removal, removal. What does this do? Oh, what are you doing in here? Card draw, removal, removal, removal. Take the best card out of the back. So you make one more cut. And I think that's all we're going to need to make. Maybe it's not. It's probably not the Oathsworn. And it probably is, actually. Then we go down to 13 creatures, which means the Game Warden's probably not good. Well, we'll see. Color sort. We'll see what we get in the last couple packs, and then we'll throw it together and see what it looks like on curve and everything. I think we have a very decent deck. I think this is definitely a deck that can win a draft. It's not one of those decks that you look and you're like, you're gonna need a lot of help. Loathsome Catoblepas. Sure. I'm not playing you, but I'll take you. Probably should have taken the bounty, just so somebody doesn't get the ability to just draw 3 at the end of their turn, or on their turn. Oh, Viper's Kiss is good out of the side. If you see somebody playing a red-green deck that's not playing cards in the early game, typically that means they're trying to go late. And Viper's Kiss can be pretty good at taking out monstrous types, especially the ones that are like super good, like Broodmother and stuff like that. Because if they play something like that, you need to kill it on the spot, or else it's just you don't have a shot. All right, but yeah, I like this deck. I think we got, we did a pretty good job moving into the colors we moved into. Green felt pretty open for 2 of the packs, and black was open for a decent amount. If I knew I was going to go green-black, I probably wouldn't have taken the formation and the starfish. I would have had 2 other cards that would have been able to fit in the deck better, but I feel like we're not crimped on finding our 23 playables, so I'm pretty pleased. We just have to we just have to have the rest of the players be content with theirs, so we can start building this. It's just so angry. So for those of you who are at home watching, thank you, and feel free to tell your friends, like and subscribe, tweet it, Facebook it, Tumblr it, Reddit, just do things. I don't know. That's what everyone else says. They're like, hey, follow me on everything, and or don't. I don't really care. I was kind of just hoping to fill time for a short period of time while we waited for the pack to finish, because I'm terrible at editing and my computer isn't the best. So I'm not entirely sure if it could handle, like I did, I have done some video editing on this computer, but the computer tended to not be a huge fan. Because it does put a decent amount of strain on the processor when you're using terrible software. I'll just bring all those in, just see what the curve looks like, and then we can add and subtract as we need. Alright, tactics. Hopefully we're casting you hitting 3 things. Both there, you're there. You guys are there. Alright. And we have some things that can shift up the curve with our 3 bestow guys. 4 bestow guys, rather. We don't have a ton of enchantments, but we have enough. I think Humbler Mortals is just a 5/5. Might be worth it. The issue then becomes, what are we putting in if we cut the Humbler? Because especially it's going to be a 5/5 that enters the battlefield, give all your creatures trample. I think that's going to be the extent of what it does. I think if we're going to put something else in, it'd probably be the Sadama. Yeah, I guess. There's not really a ton of other options. It gives you an engine to just make enchantment tokens every turn. Yeah, get to make a 2/2 at the beginning of your turn for 3 mana. Hmm. Do I like that better than the Humbler? Probably. Other alternatives, I guess, are Fellhide Brawler, the Drifters, Hero. How much do I have to target my own guys? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, not a ton. Let's do this. Yeah, we'll do this. I feel good about it. 10/7 seems right. There's a lot more double black and black mana stuff that I need to be doing than I do at green. So let's run this. This looks good. All right. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in round 1.